about business development. Lisa, are you back?
I'm back. Can you hear me now?
I was just telling them this was the 21st episode, and I was number one, and now I'm number 21.
You know what's really interesting about this is we were on for about the past 10 minutes talking about how we've had no glitches today. Everything was running perfectly. My sound was perfect. And I got up about 2 seconds ago, and all of a sudden the audio went. And this is just the wonders of having a live webinar every day. So thank you everyone for joining us for the 21st episode of Lunch with Lisa, and super psyched to have Julie back. Look at this. I love the background. Isn't that You know, they were commenting that my ring light, again, you can see it in the window here, but I would like to note, I talked about this last week, that, you know, when we're working from home, we do the best we can. And someday, if I'm on NBC, I'm sure it will be better. But when I saw ring lights throughout the Saturday Night Live skits, Saturday night, I was like, look at that, ring lights. So I guess we're all working with our ring lights here. So,
I have one of mine had come in the mail, but you know what did come in the mail? Because I was so jealous of you and Terry.
What?
My microphone.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Because why did my microphone stop working? But there's so much that we have learned from these webinars in the past 4 weeks. We're into the 5th week now. And one of the things I posted on my Lisa Nickerson Facebook social media was the link to Donna Garlow's episode from last week. And we have all the episodes on YouTube now. And she talked about taking bite-sized attempts at your interiors just to mix things up. So I did mix things up. I put some of my favorite trips behind me here. I always buy a book on my trips. And I put something that reminds me of just, you know, during the day when we're sitting at our desks and we're thinking about, you know, someday going on a trip again. So I put like other books and then some books that I wanted to read. And I just changed up the decor a bit and put some pictures up, and it made such a big difference. The other thing I did was I put on a shirt that I would have normally worn to work. And for people who know me more regularly, when I speak at events, I always wear women designed or owned clothing brands. And the reason is because we can always support a women-owned business. This is a Veronica Beard shirt, and I do shop a lot at Greta Lux, which is owned by Greta Monahan. And why do I do this? Because I put my money where my mouth is. Get it? Where? W-E-A-R. And so if there is a maybe it's not even a woman-owned business at this point, but if there's a local business, a local designer, a local somebody that you can support and not buy off of Amazon, just think about that right now. Whether it is your Uggs or your sweatshirt, or like I said, I wanted to wear a dress shirt today. Let's just think about that we can put our money where our mouth is and buy things from our local businesses. So that's how I wanted to start off today. But one of the things that Julie and I were talking about, and the reason that I brought her back, is we talked about work-life unbalance. Mm-hmm. And that is the big topic in the media too now, how much more people have been working when they're working from home. And Julie said she had a lot of great content on this, and I don't doubt it because you've been working a lot with people on managing both their business development and their work from home. And so, Julie, I'll let you take it from there. Just reminding everybody that we have our daily poll up. How are you managing working from home? I love it. I hope I can work from home forever. It's working pretty well for now, and I can't wait to get back to the office. So I'm starting that poll now. So go ahead, Jules.
Okay. So hi everyone. So we're going to talk about, I have a chapter in my book called Work Friends Are Real Friends, and it's all about the myth of work-life balance. I get asked a lot if I'll do presentations, mostly to women's groups, on how to establish work-life balance. And I always say no, because I think work-life balance is a crock of shit. Like, I think if you try to bifurcate your life and have no in-between, that's just a recipe for failure. Your work life will inevitably seep into your home life, and your home life will inevitably seep into your work life. And if you can try to blend them a little bit better, that's the only thing I think you're going to achieve. So the country as a whole, the world as a whole, is now in this forced experiment on work-life blending. So it's okay to be overwhelmed, and it's okay to be tired, and it's okay to not exactly know how to manage this every day. Because Lisa, when this first happened, you and I talked about, like, why am I so tired? Why am I so tired? And we were doing the same things we were normally doing. This was before even work from home. And it was like, because part of our brain was actually trying to figure out how the hell we were going to manage running businesses and families during a crisis or during a pandemic. So your brain's going through enough already. So working from home is very difficult. It's hard to stay focused. So I've come up with, and I'm an analytical data person. I've been doing researching, I've been calling people, I've been doing my own studies to try to figure out how is the best way that we can stay productive. We can work from home, we can stay productive, but we also don't feel like we're dipping into work 24/7.
Right.
Because we all read that article. You sent it to me. I already read it. Then on average, not just the American worker, on average, the worker worldwide is working 3 more hours per day working from home. And everybody thought like, okay, I'm going to work from home. I'm going to have so much time. I'm going to make a sourdough starter. Like I'm going to Marie Kondo my basement. I'm going to get a booty, like doing bar every day. Like, and it's not happening because number one, we're filling all of the time in that we would have done commuting or whatnot, office cooler time. We would have had to at least like let our brains like do social things. We're filling it in going from meeting to meeting to meeting. And because we're working from home, we're feeling guilty if we don't. So the first thing we have to do is sort of stop giving yourself a guilt trip about the amount of time that you're not spending working when it's time you wouldn't have spent working anyways.
Well, and with that, Julie, I think that an important part of that, and I talked to my team about this because they've certainly been putting in the extra hours. And I talked about the fact that if you give yourself a stop, you would be amazed at how fast you can get things done. Yes. If you just work until you're done, you're going to be working late. But if you say, I am stopping at this time, you will be amazed at how much more you're going to get done during that time. And that's a big part of your productivity piece of this.
So I'll get into the 5 steps because that was step 2. So step 1 is, and this is to manage the part of your life that isn't work. Like when you get up, please establish a routine in which you're getting up at the same time and you're doing something for your body before you go and you sit down in front of your laptop. I know a ton of you are getting up in the morning. The first thing you're doing is you're sitting on the toilet and you're on your phone and you're reading your emails and your Facebook feeds and your Instagram feeds. And like, honestly, we don't need to be doing that. Okay. We can go to the bathroom without being on our phones. So please do something in the morning, set a routine, get up at the same time, have a little bit of time when you're not tapped into an electronic device, and then try to move your body for like 30 minutes, whether or not that's, doing stretching or yoga, or maybe you have a treadmill or I have a Peloton. So like every morning I do something for my body that feels good before I get into work mode.
Julie, you were the first guest. So 4 weeks ago, you said you were still getting up at 5:30 every day, and you inspired me. I have not been getting up at 5:30, but I did put a better routine in when you said that you were doing that. You inspired me to do that. Are you still getting up at 5:30 in the morning?
Yeah. Today I woke up at 6 and I tried not to feel guilty about it, but I was tired and it was rainy but I still got up and I did my morning routine. I went downstairs and I did some yoga and then I got on the Peloton. So, and I do that before I establish my work day. So I'm taking a moment for myself, before I bang into the work day. So that's tip number 1, establish a routine. And within that routine, have something that you do for yourself. The second one is establish working hours. When you go to work, you have working hours. You have the time you're at home, you have your commute, you have your working hours, and the time you leave. And and I said it earlier, it's really easy to feel guilted into dipping back into work 24/7 because it's right there. Like that's my couch, that's my living room, that's my bar, this is my office. When I'm sitting at that bar, like I look over at my desk and I'm like, I should really be doing something right now because it's there. What you need to do is establish working hours so you know the beginning of your workday and the end of your workday. And that does not mean that you can't take chunks of time within your working hours to have personal time. But you just have to know when they are. You have to set a timer. And for women who are working from home, who have children, and you're tag teaming with your husbands about like, this is when I teach the kids and this is when he teaches the kids, you actually have to have a physical barrier for your office. And for the times that you're on, when you're in your office, put a whiteboard out, put a chalkboard out, put something out that says, these are the times I can't be disturbed. And if your kids have a question or whatever, they can write it on the whiteboard. A lot of the women I'm talking to are saying that this is really helpful. The kids don't feel like they're ignored. Their question is being heard in some sense. They know you're going to get to it when you're done with that hour or 2 that you can't be disturbed. So establish working hours. And it's really important at the end of the day to say, I stop at 5:30, I stop at 6:30, I stop at 7:30, whatever that is, and don't dip back into it. Like break off the workday.
I will say to that, my kids are, I'm so thankful that I don't have young children during this time, and my heart goes out to everyone who does. My kids are a junior in high school and college students, and they were feeling like, because they wouldn't come in my office, they were feeling just being ignored in general. So I kind of went the other way, that unless I really couldn't take their question or something, I have been interrupting meetings and some things just to say, what do you need? What do you got? They feel heard for a minute and then they go. But again, they're older, so it's a little bit of a different dynamic. But I felt that that made all the difference with them, that I've actually excused myself from it to say, oh, can you hold on 1 minute because my daughter's here, and answered what they want. So I think it does depend by family a little bit how that works, but that's helped a lot with that. And that even, I know I was just in a meeting, a Zoom meeting right before we came onto the webinar, and my daughter slipped in with one of these, and I was like, oh, yeah. Remember when iced coffees were just something we did every day?
Every day. Mm-hmm.
This was like, I couldn't believe she slipped this in. And so again, having that sort of connection in a way that works for you, I think is good too.
And we might not have time to get into this again because these are short bursts, but the boundaries you create right now with yourself and around how much you work and when you're not working and when you are working, that's going to set the stage for the conversation going forward to try to further establish with your managers or with your bosses or in anybody at work, what you do now, the way you take care of yourself now during this and the boundaries you create during this work from home. That leads into the conversation about what balance looks like when we all go back to work.
So true. So true.
Yeah. So tip number 3 is wherever you're working, make it feel like it's your office. And like this to me was I needed this because I found myself becoming very distracted, like only working on my laptop. So I went to my office and I got my big desktop computer now. And I literally, I've never used it at home. I took my friggin' stapler and I put it right on my desk because like it made me feel like I went and got all my pens. Where's my camera? Oh, I got all my pens. Like I made it look, I got a flower because I'm like, I think pretty things help you, but I made it look like my desk at work. So when I sat down mentally, I was like, I'm at work, even though all over there looks like home. Right here, when I'm here, is business. Like I'm at my desk. Okay. So that's number 3.
And I want people I'm encouraging people to ask questions or comment along the way here, because I'm jumping in and talking about what Julie's talking about, but this is really for all of us, right? The reason that we come together is so that everybody can be a part of this. So Chloe, tell us about your microphones.
Where's my box? This is the pseudo tack. This is the pseudo. I can't figure out which way is on this camera. Pseudo tack. I got it on Amazon. I ordered it 3 days later. It was here. It's plug and play. It's a USB. It looks really official, and it's got this arm that swings around. Has this thing I have no freaking clue how to put on, but it literally plugs into the USB port. Like it couldn't be easier.
Yep. So mine is actually this really, really good Samsung one. I really think it's me. I think that when I stood up from my desk here, I knocked something because the screen went black for a second too. And because we were going live 5 seconds later, I clearly disconnected something, but we didn't have time to fix it. So unfortunately, I'm on my laptop mic, but when this one is on and working, it sounds really, really good. So yeah, makes all the difference.
Oh, Maggie said she bought Maggie, you and I was like, I want a microphone. So Maggie said she bought a microphone too. Okay. So that was number 3.
Actually, I'm going to jump in on this. I'm the worst at interrupting my guests. One of the people that's on today, I will not call you out, but I just saw you come up in the chat, sent me the nicest email this weekend about how not many people changed their lives and how Julie Brown changed her life, then followed by Terry Trespicio. So I am so thankful that these webinars are changing the way people think and the way they work and the way they do things. And Julie, I think, was that actually how we started talking about you coming back on this week? I think it was that email.
Yeah.
And I said, you're going to come back on then.
Yeah. And I was drinking wine in my backyard and she sent me a screenshot of the email. And one thing I will also say is if you are talking to somebody and somebody says something positive and beautiful about somebody you know, please let them know that somebody said that about them. Because especially people like creatives like me and Lisa, we put so much stuff out there into the ether. We put so much information, videos, newsletters, like whatever. And sometimes we don't know if we're making a difference. So to have somebody tell you that you're making a difference, like honestly, like I can take all of the trolls, like I can take people telling me I shouldn't swear, like you shouldn't say this shit works, you should say something else. Like I can take all of that away and put it where it should be, which is like nowhere near me, when somebody says something beautiful about, you know, my message or what I've done for them.
Right. Well, there was one time I was at a networking event and there was a young woman and she was talking about Julie and she was like, she used frickin', but she frickin' changed my life. Blah, blah. She did it with such gusto. I literally pulled out my video and I said, could you do that one more time? And I had her do it on video. And I sent it to Julie and I said, we're missing you tonight. And look at the impact you're making on people. And I think that when you get feedback like that, when I get feedback like that, it goes really far. That same person then referred somebody else to me, Tara Mardigan, who was the nutritionist for the Red Sox. And she's going to be on next week talking about nutrition now. So again, back to even just those trusted contacts and sharing. And so I interrupted you. You need to go into number 4, but I just want to thank you.
And so I think that's a really great lesson. Anyway, regardless of what we're talking about, because we're all dealing with an emotional labor right now that is really, really heavy. It's heavy every day. So if somebody shares something positive with you or says something great about you, like, please just let that person know that people are saying good things about them.
It means the world.
And you're really good at it, Lisa. So number 4 is separate work tasks from home tasks. So this is why I said when you're established working hours, it's okay to have personal time within those working hours. You would take breaks, you would go to the water cooler, you would eat lunch, like whatever. But what's really easy, it can happen really easily, is you get up to make lunch and then you're like, oh, I should do the laundry, or I should do the dishwasher, or I should do I should do this, I should do that. It's really easy to get distracted. So what you have to do is you have to establish times during your day. Like if you're like me and things like bother you, like they have to get done. And if they don't get done, they'll bother you. I put into my calendar, like these 15 minutes is when I do like the chores in the kitchen or whatever. And when that time is over, I get back to work. Because
Julie, what are you using for a system to keep yourself on track? Because we were talking about this. We have what's called Strong Start in my office every Monday morning, and it's the whole team on. And we were talking about to-do lists this morning. God, I feel like I'm pitching every single episode today. But later this week, we have Paula Rizzo talking about. You have it?
Of course.
Blissful Living. She's on later this week.
Paula is going to be on. So I don't want to talk about lists because Paula's going to be on, and I have her book, Blissful Living, and she actually wrote a testimonial for my book that's coming out in June. I love her. I love this book. I mean, this book is like so cute. There's like, you literally take a pen and you like go through it and you like, it's like a workbook.
I can't believe how many of my friends all know each other that I didn't even know you knew each other.
Yeah. I went to a speaking conference with Paula, and Paula and I were both guest speakers at the conference. So that's how we met.
Well, I am the queen of, I still love the Franklin Covey system.
Yeah.
I have this every day. And I put my to-do for work at the top and I put my home ones down here so that they're separated. Yeah. And then of course I keep A, B, and C for like what the task is. But I find by just keeping that separated, when I'm in work mode, I focus on my work. And when I take my family break, I go to the list that's my family stuff at the bottom.
I don't know if Paula will, so I have this, which is today and tomorrow. I'm sorry that I'm having so hard. Like the brain, it's been proven during studies that a to-do list longer than 5, your brain's like, fuck it, I'm not going to do it. Like it's too much. Sorry, okay. I swore. I should have bleeped myself. Like anything more than 5 and your brain is like, where am I going to start? So like make sure your list is only 5 things long. So I make a list of 5 things to do every day.
I don't even know how you would have 5 things. I have like 40 things, but I have A, B, and C. And maybe that's where my A's have to be those like key things. And I try really hard not to go to my B's until my A's are done.
Yeah. So that also is part of this research, is that you have to accomplish one thing before you move on to the next.
Right.
So,
okay. All right. You keep going, because I keep sucking your time here. Keep going.
Okay. So separating home tasks from work tasks. That was number 4. And then number 5 is super, super important. It is keep weekends sacred. So we have to remember to use the weekends to restore and recharge. Okay. Because
on this today, because I'm in big trouble.
What's this?
My team has been working. We've been working weekends. Our clients need us to work weekends right now.
Yeah. And I
have to say, block other time of the week then. If you work Sunday,
is super important.
Like, block another day. Yep.
This one's hard for me because being a business owner, I don't feel like I ever should be not working. But this it's important now because, again, I'm going to talk about the emotional labor and the emotional load that we're dealing with right now. And we do not know how long we're going to be in this modified work from home, social distancing, washing your damn groceries. Like, all of that is taxing. And what we need to not do is burn out at the beginning of this when we have no idea how long this is going to last. So this is like, you're in the plane, the oxygen comes down, like, put on your mask before helping others. Like, make sure you are taking time to restore and recharge. So, because otherwise you're not going to be focused when you get back to work on Monday, when you get back into the home office that you've made. We're doing this to avoid burnout. And I also mentioned this earlier. We're doing this to establish boundaries that we are going to take into the workplace after this is over.
Well, you're also not only establishing boundaries, but you're establishing a respectful workflow with your team, right? So when one of my team members says to me, I do need to cut at X amount of time today, I work really hard to stay within that time with them. But they also manage up really well, right? So they're telling me, this is where we are with things, this is what's happening. They're not leaving me to wonder. And that's what allows work from home to work, is when you also are communicating with your team where things stand, where they are, where you are with things. And so that I feel comfortable knowing that things are getting done. And I think the more we can do that with each other, and with whether it's our clients or even our families, just setting expectations, that makes us better.
Yeah. I mean, when this happened, so I ski every week. I'm a skier. I ski every single weekend from Thanksgiving until they close the mountain, which is normally like the end of April. So I always had a built-in, I don't work on the weekends. I always had that built in.
Right.
When those things, and I'm sure there are other people who also did the same thing. And there are other people who did other things on the weekends, and those are all taken away from us. So again, we feel like, well, I'm home, I might as well work, and not realizing just sort of the psychological drain that is happening on us all the time. And you might think like, oh, it's going to be hard to find things that are enjoyable to do on the weekends. Dude, read a book, like, get your mind into some other place outside of this pandemic. Don't read a book about a pandemic, but like, get your mind into something else, because you need to give your brain, your heart, your emotions time to exhale from everything that we've been dealing with.
You know, the great thing about going through the closets, actually, I have gotten text messages from friends of mine who found the wedding gifts. What is it? The wedding favors from my wedding 22 years ago in their closet, right? Everybody's finding different things. It's almost like a trip down memory lane. I know some other friends of mine did it as a family event where they were like doing this closet they hadn't done for a long time, or this storage area, and the things they were finding and the fun they were having with it. So we can have fun with these things on the weekend too. I've been sharing this with everybody that I've been talking to today. My daughter brought me this. She found this in the back of her closet. She's 17. Well, she'll be 17 in a couple of weeks. This was from first grade. Cassie, my mom is my hero. Look at this. Or my hero is my mom. And yes, I was in a red dress with a briefcase even then when she was first grade. But I can't tell you what this meant to me to find. And so I think these are the treasures of the time that we have right now that we can find, and the things that we can do together. And you're right, taking that break on the weekend to do it.
Yes.
Is good, because I maybe have not taken a break as I should.
So I've been thinking a lot about we have time. All right. So I've been thinking a lot about lately, like, times in my life where I struggled, like where I was struggling for one reason or another. And I was thinking back to like when Chris and I bought our first place together, we were dating. Like we were just dating. We're like, dude, rent sucks. Let's buy a condo. So we bought a condo. And then like a month later, he asked me to marry him. And I was like, I don't have any money to get married. Like I just put everything I have in this condo. So we were engaged for 2 years to pay for, we were paying for our own wedding. And I think about like the day, like we were so broke that I sold my car. To pay, like I had a bill to pay for the wedding and I sold my car. And like, I remembered thinking to myself, like, it'll just be so much better when we have money. Like it'll be so much better when we aren't living paycheck to paycheck. Now, admittedly, I'm not living paycheck to paycheck even during all of this. And I keep looking at myself going, it'll be so much better when we're out of here. But when I look back so fondly on the times that Chris and I like were struggling, like, I don't know why. It seemed simpler. Life was a little bit simpler when we were struggling, you know, and always wanting, you know, striving to do something else. And I'm trying to think back, like, I know this sucks for so many people, but is there going to be a piece of this I look back on fondly and say that was simpler? You know, like I'll miss that.
We've had more family dinners in the past 6 weeks than we have, I think, in the past 6 years. I mean, and that is something that I think, again, time together or finding that and what's been so beneficial to even talking to you about this today. And I'm sure, again, for my team who's watching, they know I've been working around the clock, and it's taking that time to do things together and to find those things that break us from work. So we are at 12:41. Does anybody have any quick questions? Julie, when is that book coming out? We keep hearing about the book. When's it out?
It's supposed to be June 1st. It's so it's in the layout design phase right now, which means the book is complete. Like it's pencils down. You have to send it to somebody to lay out for Kindle and for print. So that's what's happening, right? The cover's designed. We also saw that on social media. It's in the layout. And as soon as it's done with the layout, it goes to a proofreader for one last proofread. And then it's done. And it's supposed to be June 1. So we'll see. I mean, it might be a couple days late. I don't know. Everything's sort of wonky with schedules and stuff right now.
We will certainly post it out everywhere once it's out and make sure everybody sees it. I would love to know from people, what were your favorite episodes? If you want to message me, let me know. Also, like I said, they're all on YouTube. If you watch them and you like them, please press the little like, subscribe so you know when the new ones come up. But really letting me know what you want to hear about. If you have speakers that you want to hear from or you think that would be beneficial to the group, those are the best ones for me to reach out to, because I know that it's somebody that you already know and trust and you know will be a great speaker. And tomorrow we have Malgosia Green, and she is the CEO of Plenty of Fish. So the second largest dating platform in the world. So not only is she, she's a woman CEO, which we all know I love supporting women leaders, but also she is running the second largest dating platform, and they had video in beta when this started. And so they took it right up to full stream, call it. And she'll be talking about the pivot for them. The engagement is up dramatically, of course, in dating, because it's the only way to do it. Video dating, interestingly, was very typical in China, but had not been well received in North America. And so now, of course, is this our new norm? So she'll be talking about that tomorrow. I can't wait for that, because I think it's going to be fascinating.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
What that looks like. But I want to thank everybody for coming again today. Julie, thanks again for your tips, because I have been listening to them and adapting myself the best that I can. And I just want to say to everybody else, have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.